What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson. Today, joined with my co-host, Colin Alcaves. Today, we're talking about Scott Morrow. He made his Rangers debut last night against the Detroit Red Wings. Not the most impressive game from the Rangers all around, but still a decent amount to talk about. So we're going to break down his debut and say, is he a good replacement while Borgen's out with injury? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. So we're going to get right on into that. But before we do, make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification. Be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. But before we really get into it, Colin, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm good. I'm not liking my nickname over here down here. It's not true. It was originally Eric is Stinky.
Well, see, I don't really know why it was showing our names in the recording studio, but I had to use my managerial powers to
Overwrite. But yeah, no, I'm good. Obviously, last night was probably one of the worst games I've seen this season, but nothing that I'm too worried about. I think for the most part, they're going to have their stinkers every once in a while. They were missing Sullivan. He was not behind the bench for personal reasons. They were missing Borgen for the second straight game. He didn't play in Columbus either. Obviously, they were able to sneak out a win in that one, but I think he is hands down the third best defenseman on this team behind Gavrikov and Fox in that order in terms of pure defense. So losing him is definitely hurts the decor. But I thought Scott Morrow was all right in his replacement. He's a little shorter. Borgen 6'3". Morrow comes in at 6'2", 210, age 23. He was acquired in the K'Andre Miller deal. He's a big part of that return, I think, and a player that a lot of fans are really excited about, and the offensive abilities that he brings. The only downside to his game so far is he is a little lackluster in the D zone, is what I've been told and what I've read up on based on his time in Hartford. So that's definitely something that he's got to work on. I think that right now an opportunity has presented itself just for the Rangers to kind of see what they have and how far away he is from being an everyday NHLer. So I think it is definitely a good time to test that out. And I'm looking at the stats here. His offense actually wasn't too great, but his team defense was pretty good. I don't think he really stood out. I don't think he was like, wow, you got to keep him up here, but I think he did the job. So, well enough to the point where I'd have him in over certain other players, like, for example, like a Braden Schneider. He played better than him. He's been having a pretty rough season. And last night was kind of the first really, really bad game you've seen out of Carson Soucy this season as well. So I think you can attribute last night to that, just poor D play all around. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely an exciting and intriguing player to watch going forward. Player whose development I'm extremely excited to see and about how it goes. Obviously, you see Perreault go down. You saw what he had in this limited stretch here. But I think it's time for him to go back down as well. This has just been a good litmus test for me, for these guys, these prospects that I'm really excited about, to see how they would fare if the opportunities were to present themselves in high roles for the Rangers. And I think that they both aren't quite there yet. But it's good to kind of have an idea of where they're at and let them kind of continue doing what they're doing down in Hartford. Obviously, Morrow will be up here until Borgen gets better. I think Borgen is nearing a return. They said he just didn't feel right during warm-ups against Columbus. I think it was the same deal last night. So I don't think he'll be gone for too long. But, in the meantime, he is doing a serviceable job from the small sample size of one game that I've seen so far.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little tough to assess the Borgen situation because we know so little. I mean, looking at it now, just the direct tweet from Vince Mercogliano announcing it. Will Borgen wouldn't play against Columbus with an upper body injury. He took warm-ups, but apparently something didn't feel right, and that ended his consecutive game streak at 285 straight games. So it doesn't seem like it's anything too serious. The Rangers didn't come out and say, oh, he's on LTIR. He was skating at warm-ups. He was supposed to play. Maybe he just has some kind of illness, maybe just like an upper respiratory infection. You guys know I'm a doctor, so I know how these things work. But it's the point I'm trying to get across is that I don't think Borgen's going to be out for too long. I'm not sure off the top of my head when the next time the Rangers play is. Obviously, it was a little unfortunate having this happen on a weekend where we had back-to-back games. It's kind of hard to bounce back right away. But assuming the Rangers, obviously they don't play tonight, I'm just going to look really quick to see when they play next.
It's
Tuesday.
tomorrow versus Vegas, I believe.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it's in Vegas because the game starts at 10 o'clock at night.
Yep, yeah.
I guess we'll have to keep an eye out, see if he does end up traveling with the team. I would hope he does. I would assume that he does. Maybe even if just a game time decision, he will travel with the team. So I'm not too worried about it. I think, Morrow, are you a good replacement for now? Yeah. I mean, based on what we saw last night against Detroit, not overly impressed by any means, but again, it was a game where the entire team looked pretty lackluster. So it's too small of a sample size and too terrible of a game to make a formal assessment of it. If they came out and said Borgen's out month to month, I would be like, maybe I'm a little concerned at the moment because Borgen had been playing so well. But for now, if we're going to take it as just a game or two, maybe three, is he a good replacement? Yeah, I think so. And I am excited to see his development. I know back when Morrow was in Carolina, it seemed like he had a lot of upside. It seemed like the Hurricanes fans were a little down on him in the playoffs because of a few certain plays that he made that may or may not have led towards the elimination of the Hurricanes.
But to be fair, they also put him in against, like, his first playoff games were against the Florida Panthers, who have won back-to-back Stanley Cups. So
yeah, then you know how Hurricanes fans are. They're not real hockey fans. They just they think it's trendy to just go to games once a year and then never think about their team again. That's how I consider all of Carolina sports, not even just the Hurricanes, but the Panthers too, in the NFL, whatever NBA team they have, because I know absolutely nothing about basketball. Yep, I'm trashing Carolina fans. If you're from Carolina, I'm sorry. I don't know why you'd be watching a Rangers video, but that's what I have to say about that. So point is, I like Morrow. I'm not going to judge him after a couple games. He just got to New York. Let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I am extremely excited for his development. I think he has a ton of upside as he goes. I think 23 years old, he's just still a little raw. And I think that getting meaningful minutes in Hartford will mean more to him than, bottom pairing minutes with this team, which is what he'll get when Borgen comes back. But for the opportunity that he has now, like I said, I thought last night, looking just at the underlying numbers and the game card, I mean, he looks like he played a pretty serviceable game in his own zone, and that's really all you can ask for from a rookie making his NHL, or not his NHL debut, but his debut with the Rangers. He didn't get scored on. It was a game where there was a lot of chances against. I think it was 42 shots against. So to not be out there when they scored one of their two, I think that's pretty impressive. I know it was sheltered minutes. I think he only got like 9 or 10 minutes last night.
I've seen Keandre Miller cause a lot more damage in a lot less time. So
I have also seen that as well. So just a thing to keep an eye on going forward, obviously. But I'm not gonna say I'm overwhelmed with how he played, but I'm not underwhelmed either. I'm just whelmed. If he continues that style of play where he's not noticeable, that's good with me, because defensemen, you don't really want to be noticeable. If you're noticing them, it's usually for the wrong reasons. I know a player that's constantly talked about has been Carson Soucy, and I feel like this season he's been better, but last season he was brought up a lot. Same with Keandre Miller. I mean, they were being noticed in all the wrong ways. So whereas a guy like Borgen wasn't being talked about as much, now he's being noticed in all the right ways when he does get talked about. The same with Gavrikov, Fox. You kind of know what you're getting in those guys. You don't really have to check up on them or watch them as much, because you know that when they're out there, they're for the most part going to do the right thing. It's the guys this year. It's really Schneider has been getting a lot of flack, and rightfully so. He's not been great. So when you're getting talked about in that sense, it's not great. Whereas now we're talking about Morrow, and it's not good, it's not bad. He's just out there doing a job, and that's really all you can ask him, especially in the limited time that he's getting early on in his NHL career. But I'm excited to see how this pans out. If he's better in a game where the team isn't that bad, because last night was a hard watch. So maybe, when the whole team is ready to go out there and actually put together a competent effort, maybe he'll be able to step up a little bit more and showcase his talent. But I think last night in a game that was pure survival for the Rangers for a lot of it, I think he did just fine in doing that. So, a lot of things to look forward to here with Scott Morrow. But right now, like I said, it's just very difficult to tell too early on. But as we see more, hopefully not too much, and hopefully Borgen is okay. But as we see more of Scott Morrow, you'll kind of get a better picture of what he is at this level and what he needs to work on for when he needs to go back down to the minors.
Yep, I agree. He'll be serviceable while Borgen's out. Hopefully Borgen comes back real quick, though. I'm not sure what the exact stats are at this point because he hasn't played in the last 2 games. But I know as of like 6 days ago, Borgen did have the #1 defensive rating in the entire NHL. So
yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
Borgen for that. He's quietly playing extremely well. But we'll see how the situation plays out. Obviously, if there's any major injury updates regarding Borgen, we'll talk about that. And if Morrow continues to be up in the NHL and he starts scoring or he's playing terribly, we'll talk about that too. So we'll be back soon for some more Fireside Rangers. But until then, if you guys should enjoy, please be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification. As always, be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. But most importantly, have a good one. And
let's go Rangers.